So, can you tell me a little bit about your about who you are, um,
Okay.
where you grew up?
That's it?
Mhm.
Okay. So my name is Tajah Olson, Fatima Tajah Olson. I was born and raised in Malawi. I was born in Lilongwe City. I also grew up, part of my life, I grew up in Namibia. Um, and then I moved to Victoria, BC in Canada, finished my high school and college, and then I moved to Vancouver and then finished my Bachelor's of Fine Arts, and then decided to teach dance for a while. I was teaching African dancing and I was performing. At the same time, I was trying to find, I don't know, kind of experiment with artwork because I've always done art. It's just never took it seriously. So even after school, after graduating, I still wasn't sure what I would use the bachelor's for. So I just kind of experimented and came across people who kind of just helped me. What's the word? Kind of helped me discover my art technique. Um, so yeah, so I'm an artist, and I've been exhibiting in Canada and the US. I would say since 2016. Yeah, and I'm also pursuing my master's in psychology and counseling. And I hope that somewhere along the lines I can combine the two and kind of have art therapy. Yeah, be an art therapist at the same time as being a therapist. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. I think it's already you're a spectacular artist, but also it's so fascinating that you're also working towards becoming a psychologist or therapist, as you said.
Mhm.
And you're, as you said, you don't quite see yet how the two come together, but those are two parts of who you are as a person.
And the other part I forgot to mention is I kind of already used art therapy techniques because I've gone back home to Malawi a few times to volunteer with a lot of orphans, and I used art therapy, to kind of use, that was my technique in my volunteering. So I'd bring like lots of paper and crayons and whatever like materials I had left, or bought some, like a whole suitcase, and went back home and went to some villages and clinics, and got the kids to do art. But it was kind of eye-opening, because as soon as I opened the bag, all the materials were gone in like 2 seconds. And so I realized that crave and that need, using that tool as a therapy.
That's so great. So you mentioned earlier that you've been an artist for a long time, ever since you were young. Do you remember sort of the first time that you realized or kind of consciously you thought, I'm an artist? Do you remember that moment? Or
I would say probably my first, like, being in a show with other artists, and that I remember then it was 2015. It's when my friends pushed me to show some of my artwork, which I was hiding for a long time because that time it was still too personal to show, and I didn't really think I was good enough of an artist to even be showing, or I didn't even think that was something I'd ever do. So when I got pushed to do it, and then I sold a piece right away, I guess that's when I sort of like, maybe I am an artist. But also the following, I think a few months later, then I applied to something. Oh, in Seattle, I applied just the city of Seattle. There was like a an opening for like a what was it? Like the city of Seattle were basically collecting artworks for the city. So I just applied, and then they contacted me, and I sold 3 pieces. So that was a big moment where I was like, whoa, okay, you know, I maybe I am an artist.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. And what do you think, if you have to describe yourself as an artist, how would you describe yourself as an artist?
Ooh. How would I describe myself as an artist? A lot of people ask me if like I kind of have an idea before I produce the work, and I tell them no. So I guess I'm more of like a freestyle. I do what feels good at the moment. I do what I'm like. I portray what I'm feeling at that moment, whether it's feelings or emotions, thoughts, color. That's just at that moment is what I'm going to create. And sometimes, honestly, it doesn't work, and I just keep trying, and I'm like, nah, it doesn't fit what I'm feeling. So I switch, and eventually it works. But I've had other times where it hasn't worked at all, and it's been frustrating. And those days where I realize, okay, today's just not my day. I'm not there yet. Like, yeah, I'm not there yet as a whole person, or my feelings are not there, or like something is missing. Like I need to regroup and come back to it later.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just wondering also, is it, correct me if I understand it correct, is it more of something that it has to come, you have to want it to do it, rather than, do you see it more as a job, like a task, that you have to do it, and maybe if your heart is not in it, you still have to do it, or it has to be completely, you have to be in it 100% for you?
Yeah, I completely have to be in it. And that's a good question, because those days where it didn't work is where, like, it took a while to reframe my mind, where I was like, it's not working. I keep trying. I'm like, it's still not working. And then it took a while to be like, okay, maybe I just need to stop today and come back to this later. I don't have to finish this today. I don't have to. Just come back to it later. And then once I come back to it later, it's so funny how it just works, like in 2 seconds, and you're like, okay. Yeah.
And what is that process like when you are painting? You can describe it however you like.
Okay.
You can describe it however you like, technically, maybe psychologically, what that process is like.
So when I do it, I don't, like, as I said, I don't really have an idea or a plan or anything. It's more like I get where I'm in the setting where I'm supposed to be, and whatever materials or like paints, whatever I have there, is I just start putting it on, or like, oh, I'm feeling like red today, or feeling like right now it's orange. Yeah, and then I sort of create whatever happens, and then when I'm taking the photo, I don't know, it's like I go with what I feel like I look like, or like, it's hard to explain. It's the look that I have when I'm painted, after I've done everything. It's like I have to work with that. I don't know if that yeah, and I'll try different looks until I feel like, okay, that's the look for this particular this painting that I've created on myself.
Right. And that brings me to another question, which is you are the subject of your paintings.
Mm.
So tell me, why is that and how is that like?
That the reason I'm a subject that, well, the first reason was because that's how I began. I'll take you back a little. So my final project for school, I didn't know, again, I was lost. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I haven't found my like niche and whatever. So I started experimenting, and then my friend's like, oh, paint your face, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. And of course, like it was really cool. I created some really cool costumes. But that's how I began working with myself. But that whole thing was just like a whole discovery with me and where I was in that time in my life. I just had moved to Canada a few years being in Canada, so I was kind of like missing home at the same time, so that kind of connected me to home. And I was also facing just a lot of like cultural like issues, and just living in the Western world was just very different. And also people, like, because my city, there wasn't many Black people, so I had lots of people trying to touch my skin or whatever. So I kind of felt like it was something I was so self-conscious with. Wherever I go, I'm like, I don't want people to just keep touching me or staring at me, blah, 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 blah. So when I started doing the art, to me, it was a way of like, I can just be myself in this artwork without people looking at me as, like I can go touch that Black girl or something. Like, yeah, I don't know if it's just being labeled like the Black girl or whatever, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I was an art piece, so they could look at me as an art piece, but not want to touch me. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like something like that. I just felt more safer being an art piece. Yeah, I guess when I say it now, yeah, that's what it is.
No, I understand.
It took away from all that, yeah, people being fascinated, or white people being fascinated with being Black or whatever. But that whole thing was a journey for me, and like kind of working with myself and just realizing, oh my God, I could do all these things with my face, and like I can make this, but also kind of a healing and connecting with home, kind of feeling safe, and just like really exploring me. And then at the same time, it's just like coming across like other African like women artists and like women figures, just opening up so much of my mind and understanding other like not just African, but women artists who kind of use themselves as artwork, and just women artists that use themselves as artwork to explain their experiences in life, hardships or whatever.
Right. So this brings me to my next question, which is, are there any artists that inspire you or you look up to?
The first one was, so the first movie I ever saw, which was I was in Africa, and it was Frida Kahlo. I didn't really understand, like I was young, I didn't really get it, but that always stuck to me because I'm like, oh, she paints herself, like she literally is in bed and is painting her, like she's creating self-portraits. But that always stuck to my mind, and that it was okay for me to do that, like to use myself as a art art piece. So that's always been in the back of my mind, and which made it okay for me to use myself. I didn't feel weird about using myself because I'm like, well, she was famous and she did it, so I can too.
Right. Yeah. I think that it's really wonderful. So what's your favorite thing about being an artist?
What?
What's your favorite thing about being an artist?
My favorite thing is that, and I get so excited, is being in a space where I can collect all these materials and like anything I could possibly imagine, just to have access to that in one space and just being able to create the most craziest images of myself. And to me, it's just like, it's so reflective. It's so therapeutic. It also like opens my mind. Yeah, I think that's the most exciting thing about being an artist. Now that I'm doing, I'm pursuing the counseling and psychology. I'm now aware of like how therapeutic it is, and I'm very conscious of that. So yeah, as I move forward, it's something that I am just aware of more now than I've ever been. And it's like, okay, whenever I've not created artwork, like if I go for months, I start to feel weird myself. Like I don't necessarily have to paint my face. I just have to create like whatever, like a greeting card or draw or something like that. I start to get weird, and I feel out of place if I don't do artwork.
Right. And the other side, what are the more difficult or hectic part of
about being an artist? Whew. The difficult part about being an artist is promoting yourself, making people understand. Well, hold on. I'll go back. Promoting yourself is one, but two, like in the beginning, people didn't get it. Oh, you're just painting yourself. It's like, yeah, but there's a story behind it. But people still didn't get it. And I realized it's because I was in the wrong setting. So when I had my first shows in New Orleans, of course, there's a lot more Black people came to the gallery to see the artwork. I didn't have to explain it to them. Even if I explained like 2 sentences, they would they totally understood what I was aiming for, and they could relate, blah, blah, blah. But that was 2018 when I realized, oh, wow, I don't have to explain myself and people get it. So that was really hard. That was really, really hard in the beginning because people just looked at it as, oh, you're just body painting or whatever. And the other part, at the same time, I'm saying this, but at the same time also, it's hard for me to explain my whole story to people because I'm just like, one, it's so long, and two, it's just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm boring people, but I'm like, no, I'm not really, I don't know. It's something I'm getting used to, is telling the story behind the artwork. But promoting yourself for sure is the toughest thing because there's a lot of competition out there and there's a lot of rejection. And now I'm so used to it that it's okay. I've received a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people, and I know I love my work, and I know a lot of people do, but yeah, rejection is something I had to get used to, from galleries, I mean. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Right. So I know you're a bit of a nomad. You moved around a little bit growing up, and
still am.
So I was wondering how that experience and sort of is incorporating your art.
The only way I think like moving around has shown in my art is my growth, maybe. I can definitely tell when I have this artwork that started from when I was in Vancouver, or like in 2019, no, 2009 or 2008. I can tell the difference where I was then versus 2018 versus now. Like I can see the growth in me and just the changes in my artwork. Yeah, that's the only way that I never thought about it, like my moving around being like how it's influenced my artwork, but it probably has. I just haven't thought about it.
Right. So right now, what are you working on? What's next for you? What would you like to do?
Right now, I'm trying to finish this master's in the next couple of months, and then artwork wise, I'm really trying to. I mean, I've put books out before, but this time I'm really trying to put a big, like a decent book of my artwork, because I have lots of it that I still haven't shown. And I feel like a book right now is one of my focuses. And then once I finish this master's, actually I'm going back home in August. And when I come back, I am definitely positive that I'm gonna be inspired by something. So that's my next thing. I'm just waiting to go home and then kind of connect again and see what materials are out there. Yeah, and I'm sure I'm gonna come back with something interesting in mind.
Well, Tajah, it was very, very wonderful to speak with you. It makes sense why you are the subject of your paintings, as you are a spectacular artist, as well as a person. It's my pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you.
And looking forward to just seeing more of, your art, and what do you do next, whatever it is.
Yeah, me too. It's always, I'm always keen to see what I'll come up with, because you know what, with this whole thing, I've realized there's so many like things you can do to yourself as an artist, or like recreate yourself as a person, I guess. It's just endless. So I'm just gonna keep going with it.
Wonderful. I'll let you go.
Okay.
It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Nice to meet you too.